You walk into a room and feel it before anyone speaks. Someone smiles too quickly. Someone agrees too easily. Someone laughs at a joke that was never funny. And later, when you are alone, you replay the moment and feel a quiet sickness in your chest because something happened in that room that no one named. A game was played, and you were a piece on the board without knowing the rules. Most people live their entire lives this way, moved, used, flattered, discarded, and never once aware that a hidden contest was happening beneath every conversation. But a man who watched princes rise and fall 5 centuries ago understood it perfectly. Niccolò Machiavelli did not study how people should behave. He studied how they actually do. And what he discovered is brutal. Strong minds and weak minds do not fight with fists. They fight with perception, with patience, with silence, with masks. They play games most people cannot even see. There are 5 of these games, and the 5th one is the one almost no one recognizes until it has already cost them everything. This is not a story about good people and bad people. That is the illusion the weak cling to. This is a story about power and the quiet ways it moves between human beings every single day. Machiavelli's core insight was simple and terrifying. The world is not run by morality. It is run by perception. People do not respond to who you are. They respond to who they believe you are. The strong understand this and shape the belief. The weak ignore it and become victims of it. Once you see the difference, you can never unsee it. The first game is the game of flattery. Watch how the weak mind approaches someone with power. The praise comes fast and warm. You are told you are brilliant, generous, the best they have ever met. It feels good. That is the danger. You sit there, slightly taller, slightly softer, and you do not notice that with every compliment, a small debt is being created in your mind. Because what is really happening is not admiration. It is positioning. The flatterer is not lifting you up. He is climbing you like a ladder. Praise is the cheapest currency a weak mind owns, and he spends it freely because it costs him nothing and buys him everything. Machiavelli warned that the flatterers surround every powerful man like flies, and the moment you begin to enjoy their words, you have already lost the ability to hear the truth. The strong mind tests people not by how they praise, but by how they tell you what you do not want to hear. Flattery is not affection. It is a transaction disguised as warmth, and the price is always paid later. The second game is the game of the offended weakness. You have met this person. You set a simple boundary. You decline a favor. You speak an honest opinion, and suddenly they collapse into wounded silence. Their pain fills the room. Now you are the villain. Now you are apologizing for something you had every right to do. Watch what just happened. They took their weakness and turned it into a weapon. They could not win with strength, so they won with guilt. This is the hidden psychology of the perpetual victim. Helplessness is the most socially protected form of control. No one is allowed to push back against someone who is already broken. Machiavelli understood that men will use whatever weapon is available, and to the weak, suffering becomes a sword. The person who cannot dominate you through power will try to dominate you through your conscience. And here is the hard truth. Some people are not drowning. They are pulling you under so they have something to stand on. The third game is the game of false loyalty. This one cuts deeper, because it wears the face of friendship. There is someone close to you who agrees with everything you say, who stands beside you in public, who calls you brother, who swears they would never. And for a while you believe it, because loyalty is what we all desperately want. But true loyalty is tested in cost. It is what someone does when standing beside you is dangerous, when defending you is expensive, when betraying you would be easy and profitable. The false loyalist is loyal only to the situation. The moment the wind changes, so does he. He was never bound to you. He was bound to what you gave him. Machiavelli watched this pattern destroy kingdoms. Men swore devotion in times of safety and vanished the instant the danger arrived, because the bond was never built on love but on convenience. The weak mind confuses presence with loyalty. The strong mind knows that the people who flatter you in your rise are rarely the ones who remain in your fall. Loyalty that has never been tested is just comfort wearing a costume. The fourth game is the game of the manufactured equal. Pay close attention to this one, because it is subtle. Some people cannot stand to see you rise. Not enemies, not strangers, people near you. And instead of growing themselves, they work quietly to shrink you. A small dismissive comment about your success. A joke at your expense in front of others. A reminder, always casual, of an old failure. They are not trying to lift themselves to your level. They are trying to drag you down to theirs. This is the psychology of resentment, the most corrosive force in the human heart. The weak mind cannot tolerate the gap between who you have become and who they have remained, so it tries to close that gap by erasing your strength rather than building its own. Machiavelli saw that men forgive almost anything before they forgive being surpassed. The injury to the ego is the wound that never heals and never forgives. So the strong mind learns something painful. The people most threatened by your power are often the ones standing closest to you. Not every smile near you is glad you arrived. And now the fifth game. The one almost no one recognizes until it is too late. It is the game of the invisible influence. The other four games are loud enough to eventually notice. This one is silent. There is a person who never argues with you, never pressures you, never seems to want anything at all. Yet slowly, quietly, your decisions begin to bend in their direction. You start doubting the people they subtly question. You start wanting the things they gently admire. You believe these thoughts are your own. They are not. This is the deepest form of power, the power that does not feel like power. The skilled manipulator does not push you. He plants a seed of doubt here, a whisper of suspicion there. And he waits, patient as a shadow, for your own mind to do his work. Machiavelli understood that the most dangerous force is the one that controls not your actions but your perception, because a man who controls what you believe never has to command what you do. You will obey, thinking you chose. The hard truth is this: the most dangerous person in your life is not the one who fights you. It is the one who quietly edits your reality while you thank them for their honesty. But here is where you must turn the blade on yourself. Because while you have been reading this, picturing all the people who have played these games on you, a question has been waiting. Which of these have you played? When have you flattered to gain ground? When have you used your wounds to win an argument you could not win with truth? When have you stood beside someone only because it served you? The uncomfortable reality is that the line between the strong mind and the weak mind does not run between you and other people. It runs straight through you. Everyone carries both. The only real difference is awareness. The weak play these games blindly, driven by ego and fear. The strong see the game in others and in themselves, and choose when to step off the board. Because that is what all five games share at their root. Every one of them is a fragile ego, trying to feel powerful without doing the difficult work of becoming powerful. Flattery, victimhood, false loyalty, resentment, quiet manipulation, they are all shortcuts. They are all the weak mind reaching for control it could not earn honestly. And Machiavelli's deepest lesson was never about cruelty, despite what the world believes. It was about clarity. He stripped away the comforting illusions and forced you to see human nature as it truly is, so that you would never again be the unaware piece on someone else's board. Power does not respond to your innocence. It responds to your awareness. So understand this. You will never stop these games from being played. People will flatter you, guilt you, abandon you, envy you, and quietly try to steer you until the day you die. That is not pessimism. It is the world without its mask. But from this moment forward, refuse to be moved without knowing why. Watch what people do when truth is expensive. Watch who tells you what you do not want to hear. Watch the silent ones whose admiration slowly becomes your beliefs. The game does not end when you learn the rules. It only ends when you decide you will no longer pretend you cannot see the board. The weak spend their lives being played. The strong spend theirs awake. And in the end, the only person you cannot afford to be fooled by is the one staring back at you in the mirror.